Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Tai'Shar Manethrin, a Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Will.
I'm Sam.
We are finishing up Eye of the World today. We're in book 1, and yes, that might be confusing. If you're joining us again for the first time in a long time and you're like, why are we back in book 1? It's because we decided to go back through it. But don't worry, next week we're going to be diving into everyone's favorite book, A Path of Daggers. So, hey, if you're like, hey, I've already heard Eye of the World, then you can join us next week. But you know what? We've been doing a pretty good job, I think, of keeping things interesting. So I'm going to say stick around because Sam is doing the walkthrough, and he's always going to have something good to point out to us. So Sam, why don't you take it away, starting in chapter 47?
Yeah, so chapter 47, more Tales of the Wheel. Man, do you remember Tales from the Crypt?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
What about Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I absolutely remember Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was some good stuff back in the day.
Man. The fire ghost. Remember there was one about a fire ghost?
There was
very important that we
always.
There's the names of these titles. The chapters have been interesting. So Rand paces in a dining room while Lan and Moraine interrogate Padon Fane. Feels awkward to Rand, and Matt is acting sulky with his dagger. Everyone else is sort of standing around with Agilmar, kind of waiting for them to come back, making small talk. Egwene asks Agilmar why Lan is called Lord of the Seven Towers and what's with the Golden Crane business. Also, something about Daishen. Agilmar says Lan is a king, or should have been. Viggo Mortensen, heir of Isildur, king of Gondor. Lan Mandragoran, Lord of the Seven Towers.
Right.
Lord of the Lakes, crownless king of the Valliere. I think he has a more impressive title than Aragorn.
It does sound pretty cool. Lord of the Seven Towers, Lord of the Lake.
Lots of cool stuff there.
Right.
Strider was always pretty catchy to me, though. Strider's got that going on.
Yeah, Khaleesi of the whatever.
Right.
Somebody should mash them all up.
That sounds like a job for, was it GPT-3, the AI? Feed all that stuff in there and see what you get out.
Right. See what happens.
Agilmar goes on to say that Valliere was held back the Blight. It was another borderland that bordered the border of the land of the Blight. Lan is the last son of Al-Akir Mandragoran, last crowned king of Valliere. Valliere? I never can remember. On a dare, Lane, the brother to the king, rode to the Blight and attempted to take on Sheolgul, and probably felt like he had something to prove with a name like Lane. Needless to say, he and his people died. His wife, which was
more like lame, am I right?
Yes,
gosh,
indeed.
yeah, self high five for that one. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. It doesn't get any better than that.
Back it in. His wife was a lady named Brian. Lemon bread. Just plotting. She plotted with some dude to overthrow the king and cause a civil war. Not good to have a civil war with Trollocs as neighbors. And that led to the fall of Valliere due to Trolloc infestation.
You know what? With Trollocs as neighbors, that phrase has me like picturing Trollocs just all set up, all domesticated like.
Oh, yeah, wearing aprons and.
Yeah, exactly. Like mowing the lawn, like waving at you.
Right.
You go to get your mail and the Trollocs are like, yeah.
See, I was picturing Trollocs like just like cockroaches like in the walls, just like up against the wall, just once you get them in there, you can't get rid of them.
Yeah, this is a Trolloc infestation. You got to spray for the Trollocs.
Right. So the king and queen of Valliere managed to get their baby to Shinar before Valliere was overrun, and that baby was Lan. So that's why he's famous here. He grew up here. He might as well be Shinar. Yes. So 5 Valliere bodyguards got him to Shinar and raised him to be a true son of Valliere. In the Borderlands, he is called the Uncrowned, and if he ever raises the golden crane of Valliere, an army will follow him. And Agilmar says, if you got to go to the Blight, you could do worse than Mr. Mandragoran. He is the best of the warders. You're better off leaving these boys here and just taking land. So about that time, Moraine returns, and Rand demands to know what Padon Fane said.
You know what? Hold on. I
Yeah,
just I
sure,
just have to
sure.
feel like, when they're saying like, "Hey, Land's a great person to go with you into the Blight." I was like, except for the fact that apparently he's related to Leroy Jenkins himself. Like
True, true.
like homeboy just was like, "You know what? I got this." And
Leroy. Yeah.
and everybody's like, "Oh, dang it. We got to save him." And then
Right. And
and
then it
then
destroyed their country.
right, exactly. That's basically what happened here.
Yeah. I mean, he was a baby at the time, so you can't blame him. But
Right.
it's his uncle that did that. So
Right.
not a
So,
good look.
yeah, Uncle Lame.
Yeah. And Aunt Bread. Moraine returns and Rand demands to know what Padan said. So Agelmar mutters country oath and asks if Fane is just a madman or if he knows anything. Moraine washes her hands and says Fane is soiled in his soul. Man, that's
Yeah.
not what you want.
Yeah. I was about to say. And it's like, can you clean up his soul a little bit?
I don't
is
know.
his soul
Yeah.
kind of,
He needs to take a soul shower.
yeah.
She said, there is something worse to him than a dark friend. He told her he had been summoned to Shealgol and was instructed by a Baelzaman himself. She says Padan Fane was responsible for bringing the Trollocs to Emond's Field. Fane did not like what was done to him at Shealgol, Moraine continued calmly. While we talked, he screamed often of fire and burning. It almost killed him, bringing it all out from where he had it hidden. Even with my healing, he is a shattered ruin. It will take much to make him whole again. I will make the effort, though, if for no other reason than to learn what more he still hides. He had been chosen not because of where he did his peddling. No, she said quickly when they stirred. Not the two rivers only, not then. The father of lies knew roughly where to find what he sought, but not much better than we in Tarvalin. Oh, hi, Gollum.
Oh, yes. My precious. I'm going to be here together.
We won't continue. We certainly, in the preceding books, do not continue these comparisons to Lord of the Rings. But I'm sorry, man. Call a spade a spade. There just are these parallels here. And
well, it's especially true, like we've said, in this book.
Just this book.
It really departs much, much more in future books. But yes, in this book, I mean, it's pretty clear that it's intentional to try to make people who are fans of Lord of the Rings go, oh, hey, that's that thing.
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
Yeah.
This is the voice I use for my dog when I say this is how you talk. Yeah. Hey, can you throw that bone for me real quick? That'd be real.
That's kind of like my dog voice. Is hey everybody? Oh man.
And this is the reason, like, I'm okay with Rafe saying they're adapting the whole series and not Eye of the World, because if they were adapting Eye of the World, we would just get Lord of the Rings part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Makin Shin didn't want anything to do with Fane, so that's great. Anyway, Moraine says the gang is headed to the Blight after breakfast. Once again, Agelmar offers troops, and once again, Moraine refuses. Geez, Agelmar, just be consistent. You already said land is enough. Why are you just be consistent? Chapter 48, The Blight. There's a cool graphic at the top of this chapter. Actually, all the Blight chapters. No, if you haven't seen it, go look it up. It looks like one of the crazy trees from the Blight, like the little symbol. Pretty cool, and you don't see that one in a lot of it only when they're in the Blight that they use. There's like ice for Mad and etc. and the Flame of Tarvalin. But yeah, the Blight one is kind of unique to. I don't know, not this book necessarily, but it doesn't come back for a while.
Yeah.
As advertised, the Fellowship leaves for the Blight in the morning, accompanied by 100 Shienaran soldiers and Ingtar. Oh, wait, I thought Moraine wasn't going to let any of them go. Oh, no, she still isn't. They're just keeping him company to the border, capital B. There's a line of towers that demarcates the Blight border, and Ingtar and company have commanded to go no further. And Ingtar's pouting because the fighting at Tarwin's Gap might be done before he gets there, and he's never been to the Blight before. But Matt offers to let him take his spot. Moraine says, we all have our parts to play. Ingtar bows and says, I'm going to ride to Tarwin's Gap because I'm allowed to actually fight Trollocs there. So Nynaeve asks, why in the world would you want to do that? Ingtar says, this is why I am. He turns to Lan and says, and I'm going to butcher this, but whatever. Saravye Ninto Manshima Taishite Daishan. Peace favor your sword. I wish I hadn't even tried to say that.
No, I thought it sounded pretty cool.
So Nynaeve asks, why did you say that? And Lance says, when you've never known peace, it becomes more than a talisman. Fair enough. So they ride to the edge of the Blight and notice the weather has gotten warmer. It's like a damp, boggy heat. I kind of like this idea that, in a lot of these fantasy novels, if it's like really cold there, but in the Blight, it's like Florida. It looks like
Right.
Florida.
Yeah. Actually, no. That's great. I think we should run with that. That
I think they should
the
film
Blight
in Florida.
is Florida.
The Blight is Florida.
It's just straight up Florida.
Yeah.
And so like the whole headline meme should be the Blight Man instead of the Florida Man.
Yes.
Blight Man robs store with an alligator as a weapon, which was an actual.
Oh yeah, totally. I don't doubt at all that that's happened this week even.
Right.
Nynaeve insists that the heat feels wrong, and it bothers Loyal a lot. Lan warns them not to touch anything because it might kill them. So Rand notices leaves on trees that aren't evergreen, but they're mottled with yellow and black as if diseased. He reaches out to touch one, and Lan says, I thought I told you not to touch anything. He says there's a bug called a stick, capital S, that will bite if you touch it, and it camouflages itself in the leaves of the Blight. The juices of its bite dissolves its prey, and the only way to stop it is to cut off that arm or leg. So that's charming. Lovely.
The juice of its bite.
Ew.
Ew.
Yeah, just a delicious, juicy bite. So the further they go, the more evident it is they're in Florida. Leaves cover every tree, and they look diseased with vivid red streaks like blood poisoning. Leaves
just like the Everglades.
Yeah, exactly. Leaves look bloated and about to burst. Flowers are pulpy, waxen things that appear to be rotting. The smell makes Rand gag.
It's Florida.
Yeah, this is just Panama City, man.
I should apologize to our listeners in Florida.
No, they know. They know. It's
okay.
They know. Matt Ralphs a few times, and I was going to say sorry to any of our listeners named Ralph. I'm sorry, that's your name, man.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, well,
yeah.
Oh well.
The stink doesn't appear to affect Lan or to Rand's surprise Perrin. In the distance, there are black mountains taller than the mountains of mist, and occasionally they feel a wintry gust from them. I apparently misspelled mountains a bunch of times. It's kind of funny. I use a text editor that doesn't have spell check, and then I paste
Mountains.
The mountains of mist. Delicious. That's like the plantains.
Right.
Lan says they can reach those mountains by nightfall. Moraine says there's a place to camp not far, and it will be a good omen for them to camp there. Lan's like, fine, okay. She says the Eye of the World was beyond the high passes when she last found it. Better to cross the mountains of doom in full daylight at noon when the Dark One's powers are in this world are weakest. It shouldn't be too surprising to hear, I guess, but for some reason it is. The week during the day, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't seem like that's usually something that comes up. Like, I don't think of the Dark One as a werewolf.
Right.
Anyway, just one of those things that's like Eye of the World specific, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. Somebody else will probably come along and be like, no, it showed up in this book.
Please bring it. I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know. Egwene asks if the Eye of the World moves. Moraine says the Green Man is found where he's needed, but always beyond the high passes. Lan says we'll be fully in the Blight at that point, and Rand shudders to think, this isn't the Blight yet? Jeepers. They stop
fully.
near... Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They
just
stop
the
near...
I'm so sorry.
Oh, man. They stop near 7 towers. Yep, those 7. The ruins of Valliere. There are a bunch of lakes, and Nynaeve asks if they can camp near them. Matt says he wants to stick his head in. Then quoting here, just then something roiled the waters of the nearest lake, the dark water phosphorescing as a huge body rolled beneath the surface. Length on man-thick length sent ripples spreading, rolling on and on until at last a tail rose, waving a point like a wasp's stinger for an instant in the twilight, at least 5 spans into the air. All along that length, fat tentacles writhed like monstrous worms, as many as a centipede's legs. It slid slowly beneath the surface and was gone, only the fading ripples to say it had ever been. Oh, man. So Florida, yeah.
I really do. I mean, this could be a really funny image. It's like, I want to stick my head in.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like,
tentacles.
you're right.
So maybe not. So they set up camp, and Moraine makes wards that will warn them if anything gets close, but won't be a physical barrier, because that would alert Shadow Spawn to their presence. Egwene says she'll make Rand her warder, but doesn't really seem to mean it. Rand wishes men had never told them that they aren't meant for each other. Can't sleep and accidentally overhears Nynaeve confess her love to Lan, and hear him say, "Sorry, can't happen because I got to keep fighting, and I don't want to make you a widow." I would read the dialogue here, but it's a bit cringy at times. Lan says...
Love scene dialogue and Robert Jordan. So.
Man. At the end, Lan says he's going to go check on the horses. And, this is probably a good opportunity for the show to do something different, because that really... I won't say it comes out of left field, but it comes a little bit out of left field.
Yeah, I feel like they could do a better job of developing, like where that comes from, because
like up till then, he's like impressed that she can track him.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh baby, a lady who can track. That's what I've been looking for.
Right. And that's it. The shrew is tamed.
Yes, exactly.
Especially when she's built up as being this like dragon lady,
right.
And here she has this like vulnerable moment where she's confessing her love in cringy dialogue, and like, man, I don't know if we've earned this scene.
Seems a little inconsistent. I mean, I'm obviously, I want them to fall in love, but I really hope it is a little more organic in the show.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be good. Chapter 49, The Dark One Stirs. I'm just imagining him with a big old pot.
I was too. Just like
a cauldron,
Right. We prepared this one for the show ahead of time. Here we go. We're going to throw in a little bit of turmeric. And
turmeric for color, yeah.
Yep.
Team sets out early after removing all trace of their camp. Leave it the way you found it, and only you can prevent forest fires, except maybe in the Blight. They're fully in the Blight, and it's bad when the trees are out to get you. Lan comes out of the trees with blood on his sword. The steam rises from it, and he carefully wipes it clean with a cloth. When he drops the cloth, it disintegrates. A massive body leaps out of the trees and attacks them. Matt puts an arrow in the thing's one eye and a head that's seen mostly mouth and teeth. Trees reach for them, and Rand hacks at them with his hair-marked blade. Suddenly, the attack stops, and the gang hears a fluting cry in the distance. Worms! Lan says one can kill a half-man, and they have a whole pack after him. So he says, head for the pass, because worms are afraid of what's up there. And I just think of the Kevin Bacon movie, Tremors.
You know what? I thought of Tremors too.
Yeah, that's definitely Tremors.
This is okay. Feeling. Weird thing. Second time today that Tremors has come up in conversation for me.
Wow.
What are the odds, right?
Yeah. Just stay away from. I think is it the third one that had the farting, flying. I don't know. There's wacky sequels.
Definitely got a little out of hand after the original. But yeah, the original was a good like classic monster movie.
Absolutely, yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Around the corner, the Blight is gone. They found the Green Man. There are wildflowers, green grass, even butterflies. The Jolly Green Giant offers them some niblet corn. No, I'm just kidding. That's how I imagine the Green Man. It's not right at all, but
okay. So
just my first thought.
Should we pause and talk about Semeshta a little bit? I mean,
sure, please.
Like, what's? I guess I'm more like asking questions than anything else.
Yeah,
we don't know a ton about him. He's kind of like, I don't know, like the Jolly Green Giant. He's like
he's like Tom Bombadil.
Exactly. He's kind of one of a kind.
Yeah.
The Green Man, he's like...
His hair is made of grass and hangs to his shoulders.
Yes.
His eyes are hazelnuts and his fingernails acorns. That's the weird thing to me is the eyes are hazelnuts bit. That's a little weird.
That all sounds pretty unnerving, to be honest to me.
Yeah, he sounds like a monster, really.
Right.
Just a big old green monster. I mean, after the Blight, maybe not, but...
Yeah.
Very strange.
He's just one of these characters that kind of shows up once again, like you're saying, like Tom Bombadil.
What
Who
the
is
heck
this?
was that? Yeah,
Yeah,
so random.
and everything. I paused like we were going to explain him, but I guess I'm more just saying he's not exactly explained. Is
No,
really
never. No, I mean maybe
is.
later, maybe at some point, but not
Well,
very
not
well.
really. I mean,
Not
like you
very
can.
well.
There's a little bit more, I think,
He's
in
like
the
a bit of a
companion.
demigod,
Right.
kind of.
I think that's the picture you kind of get, is that he's kind of a creature set above men, and that he's been alive for a very long time, kind of is
Mhm.
the picture you get. Anyway,
Kind of a Tom Bombadil mixed with the Ent a little bit.
right.
perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Green Man says hello to Moraine, who he remembers from her last visit. He's surprised because no one should be able to visit his spot more than once. And she says, "Need drew me here." Puts an arm around Loyal and calls Perrin Wolf Brother. He says some confusing stuff to Rand. "Strange clothes you wear, child of the dragon. Has the wheel turned so far? Do the people of the dragon return to the first covenant? But you wear a sword. That is neither now nor then." Doesn't make any sense to a first time reader, but does on the reread. We could discuss this in the spoiler zone. I don't know if we should or not, if it's worth it, but we can. So Moraine asks the Green Man to take them to the Eye of the World, and he agrees. So, chapter 50,
Mhm.
Meetings at the Eye. The Green Man leads them to the Eye, making flowers everywhere as he goes. Rand steps around one, and Egwene smiles at him with flowers in her hair. There's an arched opening in the side of a hill. In the middle is the Aes Sedai symbol. Matt asks to see the Tree of Life, and the Green Man says he hasn't seen it in 2,000 years. So, no. Green Man says he won't go into the arch because his end is linked to the eye, and he can feel himself being unmade if he gets too close.
Goodness.
The eye was made in the first days after the breaking. 100 male and female Aes Sedai made it together. They died to make it pure as the world broke around them. And the Green Man was charged to protect it, even though that was not why he was created. Moraine says he has kept the faith better than most. He says he will see them again if there is time, and leaves. So they all walk through the arch and down a corridor. And the corridor opens into a vast dome. The ceiling is dotted with glowing crystals. Below there is a pool taking up the whole floor of the dome. That makes me think of Harry Potter. Dumbledore going after the Horcrux.
Yeah. It does kind of have that vibe.
Yeah, it's in the shape of an eye, with more glowing crystals around it. The surface is smooth and clear as the wine spring. Just the wine spring,
I think.
Yeah. Though Rand can't see the bottom, it's the Eye of the World. Dust coats everything but the eye. So nobody's been in here in 3,000 years since it was made. So Matt asks the question we're all wondering at this point. What is it? Kicks a stone in. So Moraine says, it might be called the essence of Sidene, the essence of the male half of the true source, the pure essence of the power wielded by men before the time of madness, the power to mend the seal on the Dark One's prison or to break it open. Okay, I have two things for the spoiler section here.
Okay.
I just thought of something. I'm like, I'll just wait. So Loyal asks, why did they make it and how? And Moraine says, no one knows, studying the Three Ta'veren. She says, many in Tarvalin have tried to use it, which is weird to hear. Like, what? I thought no one had been in here. But only a man could channel it. Maybe I missed something here in my notes. I don't know. Reading that sentence is strange. The greatest wonders of the Age of Legends were done with Sidene and Sidar working together. Rand rasps, why did you bring us here? Moraine says, because you are Ta'veren, and the Dark One will strike here, and he must be confronted and stopped, or shadow will cover the world. Let's go back out. Two men walk out of the trees. One says, I have found you at last. Not Basilmon, as we all might have been wondering. A shriveled hand points at Matt, and one says, he guided us to you. And the same dude, that is. It's Agenor and Balthamel, two of our buddies, the Forsaken. We'll meet lots of their friends over the next 13 books.
It's Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I figure Voldemort is the Dark One. Shaitan, he who must not be named. No. Dark One equivalent in Harry Potter. They don't really talk too much about
not truly, yeah,
gods and things. It's all like Voldemort. He's a really powerful dark wizard. And anyway, maybe they do at some point. Assume the rest of the Forsaken will be out as well, but these two were too close to the surface and so became geriatric. But the Great Lord will give them brand new bodies, is the idea, they say. So Lan bares his sword, but Agenor gestures and flings him away with the one power, force push style. Balthamel doesn't seem very chatty, but he does grab Nynaeve by the chin and pulls her close to his face. And Agenor says something about the passions of the flesh, or something really creepy. And weird. Yeah. Perrin and Mat charge, axe and dagger drawn, and Agenor does something and both fall to the ground as if they've run into a wall. The Green Man shows back up and says, "You don't belong here." He picks up Balthamel in a leafy bear hug, and Balthamel kind of sets him on fire with the power. But then the Green Man fills him with like mushroom spores or something, and he kind of explodes into a mound of fungi. It's
Yikes.
pretty epic. Pretty excited to see that.
Yeah, I hope that happens.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool. But Balthamel does deal the Green Man a mortal wound as well. And as the Green Man dies, he morphs into a massive oak tree. So Agenor says, "Time to end this," and Moraine agrees. The ground disappears under Agenor's feet. Fire comes up from the chasm beneath. "Run," she yells. Rand realizes Egwene is trying to...
fools!
Exactly. Rand realizes Egwene is trying to use the power against Agenor too, and she's just kind of like, not working. Grabs her arm and says, "Run," so she does. Agenor looks over and notices Egwene. "Not her, the light burn you," Rand shouts and throws a rock at him. It turns to dust, and Agenor walks in his direction, not bothered by the flames, and Moraine begins to scream. Chapter 51, Against the Shadow. Rand runs up a hill, Agenor following. At the top, there is a 100-foot drop, cornered. Agenor says, "Baalzamon would reward me for bringing Rand. He would reward me for bringing you to Sheol, but I'm not interested in sharing power with you." Agenor says he fought the Lord of the Morning blow for blow in the Hall of the Servants. Rand looks around for a way to escape, then sees a glowing rope connecting Agenor to something distant. It seems to be filling Agenor with life. A strand touches Rand, and he gasps as light and heat fill him. Agenor shouts, "No, it's mine, not yours." And they sort of fight over it. It's confusing. So then flames shoot from Agenor's mouth and eyes, and he screams. I'm pretty sure that wasn't what he wanted to happen. Then Rand finds himself in a mountain pass full of the light from the rope thingy. Trollocs fight armored men, the Shannarans, and the men are kind of reforming their battle lines. And Rand turns and sees the Uruk-hai ready to charge. Sorry, everybody. No, It's the Trollocs, Fades, Dragnar. This is not, But it's a whole big old group of Shadow Spawn, and there's a lot more than the Borderlanders force.
I gotta say that when I first read this, to me it wasn't clear whether this was some kind of dream sequence, because it seems so different from
he's like
reality.
Teleported there, but then he like can feel the ground under his feet, and he's like, "This is real." But
it was kind of confusing, but yes,
it's
but this is really, this is really happening. Well, the least we can say.
Absolutely. That gets confirmed fairly quickly. So Rand looks at the drag car, and then bolts of lightning fall from the sky and burn him to a crisp. I said crips. Burn him to a crisp. You did that, Rand. "No," he cries, clutching grass, which bursts into flames. Don't you hate it when that happens? He just grabs some grass and just...
there it goes.
Yeah, so he beats the ground with his fists, creating earthquakes that kill a whole bunch of Trollocs and Fades. So basically, he throws a temper tantrum and destroys half an army of Shadow Spawn. He screams, "The light blind you, Baalzamon. This has to end." A voice in his head makes it vibrate. "It is not here. I will take no part. Only the Chosen One can do what must be done if he will." Rand says where, even though he doesn't want to. The Borderlanders charge the decimated Shadowspawn army, and then steps rise in front of Rand, and he is surrounded by darkness until he reaches a door. He touches it, and it explodes, and he's back in Baalzamon's dream lodge or whatever. Baalzamon says, "Agenor's greed overcame him. You are here, and I know you." It says, "I'm not running from you anymore." And he notices that Baalzamon has a black cord connected to him, too. That particular detail could be weird to see on TV, and I wouldn't mind them just not doing it.
I bet they won't. I don't know.
Or just something else. Just don't have like a black cord coming out of his, Matrix style. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
Just a demonic umbilical cord. Baalzamon says, see if I care. Serve me and get power, or be Tarvalin's puppet fool. And scream while you are ground into the dust of time. Good options there. Rand says, you don't weave the pattern. You're not the boss of me. There are other options. Baalzamon said, I made you. I can destroy you. Oh. He says, I set you on the path the day you were born. Yeah, that was a quote from Superman 3, I think. The one where Lex Luthor makes the sun dude, the fake Superman.
Nuclear Man.
Yeah.
Anyway. I think that was actually Superman 4.
Was it? I have no idea.
Yeah, because I think 3 was the one with Richard Pryor. And yeah. Anyway, that one was awful.
Yeah,
like whatever superhero movie that you think is like the worst, just know that one is worse.
Yeah.
Or either that one or like the 80s Captain America where as a part of his cowl he had fake ears for some reason.
Right. Oh man, yes. It's quoting here. Aiel allowed to flee and one to live, to speak the words that would echo down the years. Jane Farstrider, a hero. He twisted the words into a sneer. Whom I painted like a fool and sent to the Ogier, thinking he was free of me. The Black Aja, wriggling like worms on their bellies across the world to search you out. I pull the strings and the Amerlin seat dances, and she thinks she controls events. Baalzamon shows Rand a vision of Egwene and Nynaeve, and finally his mother, who tells him that he is her master and only Rand can free her. Her clothes ripped away in their bloodless hands that wielded pincers and clamps and things that stung and burned and whipped against her naked flesh. Her screams would not end. Jeez, man, just unpleasant. Mm-hmm. Oh, those were fades doing that apparently. So Rand responds to this by creating a sword of light and destroying the Halfmen with a blast of power from the tip of it. By the power of Grayskull, yo! Rand hears a whisper. Thank you, my son, the light, the blessed light. This is such a weird scene. Just don't even know. I don't even want to like speculate if this is just her. I don't know. This is very strange.
I wouldn't be surprised if we lost this entirely.
Like I would be completely okay with that. Just don't have Baalzamon in this scene at all. Like just
right.
I don't know. Or just make him be one of the people that comes to the Eye of the World and like just have him fight him. Just like don't even have Balthamel. I don't know.
Like it seems like they have to go to the Eye of the World. I don't know.
I'm sorry. What I meant to say is don't have Balthamel there. Just have Baalzamon show up with Agenor.
Yeah, no, I was with you. I was just saying I'm just to me it feels like they could probably do without. This feels like, I don't know, it feels just uncharacteristic of what has been going on in this book. Yeah. And kind of odd in general, even looking back.
Yeah, it really, really is. Baalzamon says, "Fool, you can't wield it without me teaching you." Rand says, "It is ended," and swings his power sword at the black cord connected to Baalzamon. Baalzamon wails and fire fills the chamber until it all turns white and the cord disappears. Rand falls through blackness and something strikes him, turning him into jelly, and the jelly shook and screamed from the fire raging inside, the hungry cold burning without end. Rand, did you eat some magical blight mushrooms or something? I don't know what just happened here. Very strange.
A little sitar music and everything's kind of blurry.
Baalzamon's dream lodge is like just a VW van, and he's got long hair. Chapter 52, there is neither beginning nor end, and he's got the Aes Sedai symbol instead of the peace symbol around his neck. Anyway.
I like how you're going back to that.
Oh, man. So, there is neither beginning nor end. Rand wakes up surrounded by the burning clothes and oily ashes left of Agenor. Ugh. And he does what anyone would do. He pukes off the edge of the cliff. Rand sheaths his sword and says, "The Dark One is dead." He laughs. "Shaitan is dead." The world seems to lurch, and we zoom in on the Eye of Sauron. I see you. Oh, wait. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everybody. Last time. I swear. Done. Rand runs down the slope looking for Egwene and thinks, "Who is she?" Wait, what? Egwene, where are you? A pretty girl looked up with big eyes from where she knelt beneath the spreading branches, flowers in her hair and brown oak leaves. She was slender and young and frightened. Yes, that's who she is, of course. Egwene, thank the light you're all right. Rando, you're not yourself, buddy. He thinks there are 2 other with her, and then remembers they are Moraine and Nynaeve. They're all okay. Moraine says that Agenor and Balthamel must have been trapped close to the surface, and the seal in the Dark One's prison has weakened enough to release them. Luckily, none of the others are free yet, or we would have seen them. Rand says, well, I killed the Dark One, so na-na-na-na-boo-boo. Moraine says, okay. Rand says, yeah, and I did it with the one. I sneezed on him really hard. Yep, that's how I did it. So everyone it's awkward. Everyone looks at him for a second, and Nynaeve says, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills, but you're still Randall Thor of Emmons Field. And Moraine demands that he tell her everything, which he does. Moraine says she was suspicious from the first because he resisted her when she gave him the coin. Like, I don't know, the whole thing with the coin where he should have just done what she said or something. That whole still thing still confuses me. But she said also because of Bella. Yes, Bella. She says she never had to heal Bella at Watch Hill because someone had already done it. Bella could have outrun Mandarb that night. So Rand used Sidene to heal her. Rand says, well, I'm never going to use it again.
Or Bella. Okay.
It's the creator.
Okay. All right. Bella is the creator.
Right. This is it. That's it, man. That's a rabbit hole you can go down.
Yeah.
Rand says, I'll never use it again. Moraine says, well, maybe. He says, well, maybe you can teach me? And she says, can a cat teach a dog to climb trees? I feel like I've seen that cartoon. Can a fish teach a bird to swim? Nynaeve says the eye is gone, but there is a crystal column in the middle of the pool.
With the whole, can a dog... I just wanted to keep going with the analogies. Can
Right.
cheese teach a milk how to be slightly spoiled and congealed? Can a
ferret teach a librarian to ride a skateboard?
Right. Can a car teach a toaster oven how to drive backwards? And I don't know,
but only if they're both Teslas. Yeah, I don't know. The Tesla
there
toaster.
should be a Tesla toaster. Yeah,
There
I feel like it would be it would be overpriced but also very cool, and it would look awesome, but its functionality might be kind of questionable.
It would accept Bitcoin. Certainly.
Yes. Yeah, and it would only toast one piece of bread unless you paid extra to have the firmware upgraded.
Right. If you tried the auto toast functionality, you would burn your house down.
Yes, definitely.
Rand says, well, you'll want to gentle me, right? That's why you want to take me to Tarvalin. And Moraine says, you're Taviran. Maybe the pattern isn't done with you yet. Rand says, Baalzamon said the White Tower would try to use me as a false dragon, but I am no one's hound. Moraine says the tower will not know until the pattern makes it so. Tower will not know until the pattern makes it so. Matt and Perrin are happy to see Rand and at the thought of going home. They have a gold chest with broken pottery inside, and Moraine fits the pieces together to form the yin-yang Aes Sedai symbol. The flame of Tarvalin combined with the dragon's fang. She borrows Lan's knife and can't put a mark on it. It's Quaindiar, Heartstone. This is one of the 7 seals on the Dark One's prison that is broken.
Yikes.
Inside the chest is the Horn of Valliere, just kind of as an afterthought. Moraine says it must be carried to Ilion for some reason. Loyal reads the side. Tia mi avin, Moradin Asain Vadin. The grave is no bar to my call. Even Lan appears visibly shaken. Nynaeve says to call the heroes of ages back from the dead is to fight the Dark One.
I was just trying to get Zeus to come back in. He's barking outside.
Oh. Get back in here. Also in the chest, a white banner with a dragon on it. Rand asks what it is. The banner of the Lord of the Morning when he led the forces of light against the shadow. The banner of Luz Theron Telamon. The banner of the dragon.
Hey,
Loyal.
we heard you like MacGuffins. So we put some MacGuffins in your MacGuffin so you can MacGuffin after you MacGuffin.
There's a whole bunch of them. All at once. Here are them all in a chest.
Honestly, the first time I read this, when I get to a denouement, I kind of I kind of tend to skip a lot of stuff and not really pay much attention. I skipped this one little paragraph that's like, oh, and here are all these really important objects for the next book. And really, it does seem odd that it's just like, oh, and here they are.
Yeah, like we
Um,
already beat the boss. Like this shouldn't be anything important happening now. Like this should
right.
not be important stuff, but it is
So,
very much so.
so in the next book, I was like, wait, where did these come from? And I had to go
Right. Go
back.
back and read that paragraph again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Moraine says, we need to rest, but then leave first thing in the morning. And chapter 53, the final chapter. The wheel turns. That's the name. The oasis created by the Green Man is gone, and Loyal isn't happy about it. So he sings to the oak tree left by the Green Man. He sings the wood, I guess you'd say. Says the Blight will not take over this space any longer. And Lan says, you're a good man, Charlie Brown. They ride out of the Blight, and nothing attacks them this time. For some reason, again. They camp overnight and then continue on in the morning until they are out of the Blight. And at the border, men tell of a great victory at Tarwin's Gap. They return to Faldara and meet back up with Ingtar, who is grumpy as usual, because he was an hour late to the fight and missed the fireworks. Moraine demands to see Lord Agilmar. He tells them that they barely fought. The earth swallowed up Trollocs and mountains buried them. Men claim that the light took on flesh and fought, but Agilmar saw a man doing what a man cannot do. So Moraine tells him that the Green Man is dead, but we won. The land is freed from winter as proof, but the last battle has not yet been fought. Rand stirs at this, but Moraine gives him a look. She says the land is freed from winter. I don't think I really was that aware that the land was stuck in winter at this point. I don't know. I guess that was a thing. I mean, I know later there were weather things. Whatever.
Yeah. There are definitely weather things. There are definitely
weather things. We will get into those weather things in the Path of Daggers.
Yes.
The beginning of the Path of Daggers.
Mm-hmm.
So Moraine shows Agilmar the Horn of Valliere, and Agilmar says it could be used to march into the Blasted Lands right now and level Shale Gull. And Moraine shouts, no, I didn't show you this to torment you, but it's got to go to Ilion for some reason. But seriously, Agilmar makes a good point. Moraine says, please give us an escort to Ilion. And Agilmar says, okay, but looks like a kick dog. A week later, Lan is training Rand to use his heron-marked sword. And Egwene is kind of standing there too, and Rand says, I'm going away. Egwene says, well, we're going to Tarvalin. Me and Nynaeve are going to learn to be Jedi. Plus, Matt still needs to be healed and separated from the Devil Dagger. So Rand says, I'm never going to channel again, and I'd sooner cut my own hand off. And Egwene asks if he'll go home. And Rand says, nope, I'm going to go somewhere else. Just imagining the Hulk walking away down the road, Elsewhere in Agilmar's private garden, Moraine whispers, the prophecies will be fulfilled. The dragon is reborn. And we are done with the Eye of the World. Crazy.
Now, we're going to get into some spoilers. And so, if you haven't read the rest of the series, everything's going to be on the table. So I would say join us next week, but if you're going through it for the first time, you may have to kind of shuffle around to figure out where the Great Hunt is, because it's not the next one. So
right, we may still go back and do that one too, but
yeah. So currently, as of the recording of this, it's back at the beginning, but we're probably going to end up looking at redoing that one. That won't be for another few months. So join us next time or last time or whatever, because we're about to spoiler. Okay.
Spoil. So yeah, I had a few. I don't know if you want to go first. You can.
I realized that we had resolved earlier not to reveal the Bella as creator thing.
We?
So, no. Well, that was me. I brought that up. No, I was I did have that thought though when she's like, I realized I didn't have to heal Bella, and I was like, well, maybe that's because she was the creator the whole time.
Doesn't need healing if she's a creator.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If you're not familiar, there's this theory that's kind of funny fan theory where Bella is actually the creator personified throughout this whole thing. And what's fun is it's not as like crazy as it sounds in one way if you actually like go back and read through it, because like she's present throughout the whole thing. She's helping out in lots of subtle ways. So it's kind of an interesting idea.
I love fan theories. I was reading the other day the dumbest fan theory that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is actually he died in the fight in Bel-Air, and like he's in the afterlife, and like that's why all of his family in Bel-Air is like trying to improve, like, because they're like stuck in purgatory, or I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Something like that.
See, that's interesting.
Oh man. Yeah, it is. It's really stupid, but it is interesting.
I
Oh,
think it's kind of brilliant, but also kind of stupid because it's like,
yeah.
this kind of and a lot of interesting theological thought applied to a 90s sitcom, which is right in my
90s
wheel.
sitcom starring a 90s sitcom starring a rapper who didn't pay his taxes, so he had to become an actor. Yeah. He'll admit to that. That's literally what happened. So the
well, there you go.
spoilers I had were the Green Man talks about Child of the Dragon, which of course he means the Aiel, and because no one except for the Aiel who've been a Roidion know that they're called the Children of the Dragon or whatever. But the Green Man does because he was around during the Age of Legends and he remembers when they were literally like servants of the dragon,
I will say, like, when they're saying like servants of the dragon, it's the Aiel. Have they, when he mentions the sword, and he says that's not now or then. He's like pointing out that even when the
They
Aiel
were peaceful.
peaceful, but even now
Then.
they don't carry swords,
Right, and now they don't use swords because they like a perversion of their
right?
peacefulness.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's like, he's just saying it's odd to see an Aiel carrying a sword.
Yeah, you can tell like that just with that line that I don't know that Jordan had thought through some things at this point.
Right.
Clearly.
Yeah, it's impressive.
That hadn't gotten into the Aiel almost at all. Some, but not. He had definitely thought through it though. The other thing I was going to point out is Moraine mentions, or someone mentions, that the Eye of the World had the power to destroy the Dark One or seal his prison. Like, man, if they had just held off on the Eye of the World until Rand kind of like had a handle on his powers and then went to the Eye of the World, like, then maybe he could have just gone ahead and sealed the Dark One's prison.
Right.
Instead, he just used it to throw a temper tantrum and kill some Trollocs.
Of course, as it turns out, he needs to be able to use Kalendor to ultimately seal
The prophecies, sure. Lots of prophecies to be fulfilled.
and all this stuff. Well, and also because Kalendor allows him to channel the true power and like turn it back in on, to use the true power to seal the Dark One back in on himself. So
I had 100% forgotten about that.
Yeah. And if we hadn't declared spoilers, this would be huge.
Right.
This is the
travesty,
spoiliest of spoilers. Yes, it's the whole thing is that at the end turns out that you need all three of the different channelable powers to defeat the Dark One. Well, you've done it again. You've wasted another perfectly good hour listening to our podcast. If you want to talk to somebody about it, you could always email us at stuff@tsmpodcast.com or go to that same website and fill out our contact form. If you say nice things or have interesting questions or legit corrections, we will mention them on our next show update episode. So you can also find us on the socials, say hello, look at our backlog of Instagram posts to see some funny Wheel of Time memes that I posted back when I have time. It's been a long time, but they're still up there, so you can go back. So there's some of them are I don't know. I think they're funny. I think they're humorous. Anyway, you can join us next week when we're going to be diving into A Path of Daggers, which really does sound painful. I like.
Don't recommend it. Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend diving into A Path of Daggers, and it actually will not be completely free of pain. It's might be the sloggiest of the slog.
It is
so
the sloggiest of the slog.
Yeah,
okay.
I think
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun to make some commentary on that. And stop whatever you're doing right now and go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and a review, especially if it's a nice rating and review. Guys, thanks again for listening. And as always, Tai'Shar Manetheren.